Welcome back to all our listeners. It's that time of the week again, where we discuss all things FPL on the First 45 podcast, brought to you by Craig and Darren.
You're listening to the First 45 podcast, hosted by me, Joe, and with me as always is Craig and Darren. How are you guys?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I'm
thanks.
good.
How are you, Craig?
Yeah, all good this side, mate. Absolutely.
So what's been going on in your world then, boys?
Fucking shit, FPL week. That's what's going on in my world.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Lockdown getting the better of us. Not good though, is it? 2 red arrows.
Yeah.
3 red arrows, isn't it? For all of us. Yeah, a couple of red arrows then, Dazza. I might as well kick this off. Mine was quite big, to be honest. I've gone from 140k down to 198k. Much of that to do with captaincy pick. Got it all wrong. Very itchy feet near deadline. Don't advise anyone to start looking at their team very close to the deadline. Just put it on and leave it. I mean, I was always on Bruno all week after the Southampton result. I started overthinking it. I started liking the shout of Son, particularly with the rumours that Kane might have been back. And I thought, oh, Antonio's numbers are there. And I toed and froed and ended up with it on Antonio in the end, which, of course, amounted to a 4-point total, which isn't ideal. Not a huge loss, though, because if it was Bruno, which it probably would have done, I would have only managed another 5 points there.
Yeah. Do you know what you say about Kane coming back there? I didn't actually realise he was back until the team sheet was announced. Like, I didn't hear anything on Twitter, nothing, and all of a sudden, there he was. It was like, wow. Yeah, that was news.
A big surprise there. I only heard utterings. It was like some loose rumours, and Jose was being typical Jose, very, very kind of devious in his words, sort of laying the foundation, just putting in a few little curveballs in his pre-match talk, referencing that he's basically close or he's trained or something like that. So yeah, it was all a bit like, is he? Isn't he? But there you go. He's back, and he was back with a bang, wasn't he? So there we go. And obviously Sonny scores too. So absolute happy days. 2-point bonus.
Yep.
And there he is.
As for me, red arrow again also, 11k down to 16. I ended up transferring in Pope for Johnston, and Luca Digne in for TAA. I was originally looking at Shaw. I think I spoke about Shaw a lot in the last podcast, but after the double game week announcement, I went for Digne with this coming week in mind, really. And similarly with Pope, I mean,
good move.
I had Areola there for the double, but it was just those fixtures for Pope, and I think long term he's probably a better shout. So went for it, as I think a lot of other managers did.
Yeah, I did too, actually. So I'm a bit more information, I guess, rather than just me playing the pity card about my captain. But actually, the damage was probably done from my side. I think I lost about 9 points with my moves this week, because I moved out Forster for Pope, trying to build for the double game week coming up and actually having a playing bench. So Forster went out for Pope. Still got Martinez. Naturally, I put him on the bench as I brought Pope in. And also I did think Arsenal would score, so I lost 7 points just on that move alone. I played Loughton, who's another one that I moved in, probably was for the -4, because I had 2 free transfers. But to be honest, I probably would have played someone like Stones or something like that. So no loss, but other than the -4 that I made there. And then I brought in Sonny for Sterling, which is probably a 2-point gain, you could argue. So yeah, my moves weren't great this week. Lost some points on them. But just like you, I lost points on the goalkeeper. You had to play Pope, didn't you? I saw that you had Areola there, and you lost 4 points on that move as well.
Yeah, one of those things.
You always want to play Pope at home to Brighton.
Absolutely.
Brighton have looked good recently, so I kind of half expected that I'd put Pope and Loughton in, and you think to yourself, God, that can be a banker with the way that Burnley play at home. But how Brighton have looked recently, I was a bit wary of it, to be honest. I half expected them to get one.
It feels
goal.
good to have Popey in there, though, back in the sticks.
It does. Yeah, particularly for a double game week. The fantasyfootballfix.com algorithm has him number 1 for point scorer this week. Yeah,
across all players?
Which is crazy.
Wow.
All players. All players. I haven't got the point score in front of me at the moment. Yeah, I know, it's one of those. It called something like that a few years back for De Gea, and everyone's, I was uttering it, talking about it, and we obviously have to write captaincy picks based on the algorithm. The number 1 goes number 1. Now, we haven't selected that for the top 5s this week, but for the captaincy, it will be. So, Popey will be in there, and he'll be our number 1 pick. Mad. But again, you laugh at it, but he could go and get an 18-pointer.
Absolutely. I know where he looks at my team at the moment. He's
really?
got the captain's armband at the moment in my team.
See, I'm seeing that. I think that's absolute madness. Man City have got a double game week, and people are putting a captaincy on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a craze.
What do you think about that, Daz?
I can see the logic, to be honest with you. I mean, the chances are he's going to get at least one clean sheet there, plus you've got the save points. It's almost a guaranteed return from your captain, isn't it? Whereas City assets in particular, you don't know necessarily if you go for an attacker, are we going to get some pep roulette and potentially only play one game? DCL away to Man City is probably another standout captaincy candidate, but with that fixture there, I mean, yeah, it's a risky one, but Pope's probably the safer choice, but it's not too adventurous, should we say?
No, it's one of those where it could bear fruit. I mean, even in a bad week, he could get 5 points, couldn't he? In an absolute bad week, maybe 6 points. If he manages to accrue a couple of save points. So yeah, it's one of those where could be looking at a 6 point minimum anyway, or up to kind of 17, 18. It's just the ceiling, isn't it, for me? I'm kind of thinking, can I find something better? But then that can often be the greedy route, and then you see that player benched via pep roulette. I've got a burning question, lads.
Go on.
I want to put on a little bet between us. when does Max's dog burst into the room?
I'm giving it about 15 minutes.
That's tops, I reckon.
Any minute now. Tops, Vivian.
Yeah, so my best player, definitely Gundogan. Obviously, he missed the penalty early doors, so it wasn't looking too great, but as we know, he went on 2 more goals, looking fantastic. I mean, the returns are there, the underlying stats are there, and even more importantly, probably with the eye test, he just looks absolutely superb, just bursting into the box, popping up in the right areas, and just looking fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I've moved there for this week. I mean, I brought in Sonny with obviously Sterling out for the last game week, which paid off. I probably should have captained him, but yeah, it was with bringing in Gundogan in mind, so I can obviously redistribute funds. He's in the box all the time.
Brilliant.
Just constantly getting in the mix, isn't he? All the time. Like, I saw the analysis on, it might have been on the Monday Night Football actually. I don't know if either of you caught it, but Carragher was running through it and just analysing his movement in particular, and was looking at how the defenders fill in for him. So, of course, he's playing a more central midfield role, but then you see the likes of Cancelo moving more in a DM role alongside Rodri, and then it gives Gundogan license to just move into the box, Frank Lampard-esque. So when I saw that, I mean, that again was the nail on the head
well, you
for
look,
me.
you look at his goals. I mean, I think there's been 1 or 2 worldies in there, but the majority of them are like within 10, 12 yards, aren't they? He's just getting into them areas, like you say, sort of Lampard-esque, what we used to see with him.
Absolutely, he's getting right in the mixer. It's almost like it's almost superior to Lampard at the moment in this patch, because he's just constantly in there. He's like a forward. I mean, I would almost compare him to Aguero. Not obviously saying he's Aguero, but I'm saying he's literally like a central forward. He's basically converted himself into a central forward in the last, say, 5 or 6 games.
I was trying to think if there's ever been another FPL asset who've completely transformed themselves in terms of, Gundogan. The last 4 or 5 years, he's been defensive-minded, someone you'd never think about really when looking at City, but all of a sudden he's this absolute dynamite FPL asset, absolute must-own almost.
It's insane. It is a must-own. And the one thing on this is, look, appreciated. His stats they're flattering, aren't they? I mean, well, I say they're flattering. I mean, he's overperforming. That's probably the better word that I'm looking for, in that it's not sustainable to have had 9 shots and scored 8 goals or whatever it might well be, but it's, that won't be sustained, but he's in the mix and he's still going to keep getting those chances. So you'd expect, even if he gets a goal every game, and particularly at his price point, absolutely happy days. If he's getting an involvement every other, I'm all over it. I think we should move off Gundogan, because, to be honest, with Joe and I having a little side bet on the go as well, and him sitting in, and he's probably thinking, I might have to move there. And I know he's on Sterling at the moment, so I need some differentials.
Already made my moves.
Well, not this week then, but Gundogan, wax and lyrical. I'll do my best and worse, shall I? You haven't even done your work, have you, Dad?
The least that can be said about these guys, the better, I suppose, is Liverpool asset again. It's Andrew Robertson, 0 points. 0 points from my man Robbo. Liverpool absolutely all over the shop again. I've always said never bench a premium asset, but it's a good chance Robbo could find himself on my bench this week, or possibly even moved on.
Wow. That's big stories.
What about you, mate? Best and worst?
Taking some time to get over that. That's a while. I was just going to bench one of his Liverpool fullbacks. Oh, wow. Wow. Best for me, it's Stewie Dallas of everyone. Life saviour. Monday Night Football.
Daddy Dallas.
Dirty D. Straight in there with the 12-pointer. Yeah, I was really happy with that, obviously. I was hoping that he'd get something out of the game to at least give me something over the Bamford owners. Obviously, I moved him out recently for DCL. Unfortunately, benched DCL this week, so that's probably not my worst performance, but it's my worst decision. But many did that away at Man United. Wasn't expecting too much. But again, maybe a lesson learned for me and for many others. Don't bench those players that can get something, right? While am I benching Calvert-Lewin? He's got the ability to get it against anybody. I think it was the Man United performance in general that just put me off the previous week against Saints, where they were absolute demolition derby. Although, to be fair, Slampton gave them a lot of that with the fouls and the red cards and just the way that they set up, I think, and the fact that they were limited on squad depth. So yeah, Dallas for me, happy days with that. That's good. Obviously, with the double game week 25 coming up, going to try and add to the ranks there by bringing in one or two more Leeds boys for next week, even if it means making a -4. And worst for me, worst for many, I guess, is Souček with the 0 points. Not going to get those 3 points back anytime soon, are we? Cheers, Mr. Dean.
Should be Mike Dean on the worst, shouldn't it, for this week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, picked out a few games for us to talk about. Let's kick off with the big game, which was City and Liverpool at Anfield on Sunday. Craig, do you want to talk us through any other findings in that game that stood out to you?
What a game. Unbelievable. I didn't expect that, to be honest, at the start. I thought it would be quite a cagey affair and may well end up being one of those 0-0, 1-0 type games, particularly after half an hour. I don't think anybody would be blamed for thinking that. And it just burst into life, didn't it? And I think it burst into life more so because of Liverpool's ineptness at the back, particularly with Alisson making some right old howlers, which you wouldn't expect from him. They were dreadful, weren't they? And I think that was
twice
terrible,
as well,
wasn't it? It was shocking. I'm trying to think of like a worst goalkeeping performance, and even with some, I couldn't actually think of any. I couldn't think of anything or any situation where I've seen a goalkeeper make such a bunch of cock-ups, and that he did. I mean, he did it royally. I think the highlight for me was when I think he passed it straight out to Bernardo Silva.
Oh god, that was naughty from Bernardo.
For the smallest man on the pitch to head home, Raheem Sterling, who's never scored at Anfield, by the way, since he left.
Shame for him, there's no fans there. He'd have enjoyed that one.
For Sterling. Oh, he would have done. He would have rubbed it in. So sorry, Liverpool fans. But yeah, not good for Liverpool. But the standouts for me there, it was Gundog, absolute ledge. I don't own him. He missed the penalty. I was rubbing my hands together, thinking, here I am. I've just taken Sterling out. I've got no representation in the City midfield whatsoever. Gundog's now on a -1, lovely jubbly. Is this going to be the day where he doesn't obviously get too much? And then, of course, the rest is history. 13-pointer later, and now he's in my squad. So, it was literally the final piece of the puzzle for me. I was a bit of a doubter, not over the last couple of weeks, but certainly a few weeks ago before he came into the team without KDB. And look, he's a must-own for me. And then outside of that, it's Philly Foden.
Yeah.
What a performance.
Absolutely
what a performance. Superb. So measured, perfect, great dribbling ability, nice passing movement, just cutting through the lines. And his goal was unbelievable. The way that he just dribbled that with ease and made a mockery of Andy Robertson, mate. Absolute
talking about the best
mockery.
left-back in the league for the last couple of years. And as you say, he just ghosted past him like he wasn't there. Sublime. Yeah,
little dink to the side, wasn't it? Little cut back, and Robertson was left for dead. In the replay, it doesn't even do it justice, does it? Because you can't see that in real time. But that little dink and then that smash home with the left boot, gee whiz! Alisson didn't even stand a chance, even though it was just over his head. It was rocketed in, wasn't it?
Going back to Gundogan now, obviously we spoke very highly of him so far. Looking ahead at the scheduling, looking at 26 there, West Ham at home, and then there's a very good chance it could be Wolves or Southampton at home in a double game week. I'm sat here with my triple captain chip. What do you think to Gundogan? Is it crazy to think about Gundogan as a triple captain?
No, I don't think it's crazy at all. The only issue is, of course, Pep being Pep, isn't it? That's the only thing for me. I mean, Gundo played tonight in the FA Cup, but he was hauled off after 57 minutes, so that's him set for the weekend. And Tottenham-Everton this week, could even be. I mean, look, it's not even inconceivable that you could play it in 24. To be honest, I know you look at it and go, well, West Ham United at home and Southampton at home. That's probably prime. I agree, but that is likely to be maybe the one of the game week where if there is a double, he might take. Whereas he's in my book, he's playing as close to 180 minutes in game.
Absolutely agree.
He's going to get.
Yeah. So, I don't think that's a bad play either. To be honest with you.
No. If people put it on him in 24, great. Again, I don't want to give you too many ideas, Daz, as we obviously mini league rivals. But for the listeners, Kane in game week 26 as well. That's probably another option. I know you probably don't own him yet. Well, you don't. I know no one does. What with his injury and his surprise comeback this week, but yeah, he's going to be one for me. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. He's going to have Burnley at home and very likely either Villa away, Fulham away, or Southampton at home. Again, he'll play. There's 180 minutes there. That would probably be my triple captain.
I think particularly if it's the Fulham or Southampton fixture. I think Villa away, there could be a little bit more hesitation if that was the fixture there. But Burnley and Fulham, Southampton,
understood.
Definitely, good. Definitely a standout candidate for the triple captain.
Cool. I mean, you've just talked about Spurs players there, so perhaps we should talk about the Spurs win against West Brom, 2-0 win. Yeah,
I mean, as I said earlier, I wasn't expecting Kane to be in the team sheet, and they are a completely different team with him in there. They were pretty good, albeit against undoubtedly the worst team in the league, West Brom. But yeah, impressed. I'd kept with Son, and I'm likely to stick with him. I've got a bit of a benching headache this week, actually. At the moment, I've actually got Son on my bench, which is it just feels a bit absurd. But there's so many nice fixtures, and a lot of us have got decent squads now with the big hitters out. So, he could strangely find himself on my bench, but he is such a good finisher, isn't he? He only needs one or two chances, which he could get against City. We saw against West Brom on the weekend, when he got put through, you just knew he was going to score. He's so deadly in them positions. So, a bit of a headache there with Sonny this week.
I agree on that. That'd be tough. I haven't seen your team in terms of looking at the rest of it, but yeah, I think everyone's having benching headaches at the moment. Currently, I've got Watkins first sub away at Brighton. Now, Brighton looked a bit sharper, but again, I don't feel too comfortable about that. I've got Martinez as well, obviously benched again away at Brighton. And I've got Souček second sub, home to Sheffield United. I fancy Sheffield United to be pretty decent.
Are you playing Souček this week?
But
second bench.
No, second bench.
Yeah. See, I've got Souček playing ahead of Son, but it's a tough one. I mean,
wow, I mean, to be honest, anyone against City at the moment is warranted to be on the bench. I think they look absolutely formidable. If they were sort of City of last year, and even the previous couple of years where they've had difficulties at the back, I'd play, even if I thought that City were going to win the game, which, most seasons have always looked like they could win games, I would be obviously playing Son on them. You would be as well there, because they're going to leak. They're going to leak a goal or two potentially, and it's going to be Sonny or Kane. But the way that they're playing at the back at the moment, I'm fully behind that decision.
Yeah,
I probably would do the same and consider playing Souček against Sheffield United, but it's feast or famine with Souček at the moment, isn't it?
Probably would have been quite nice if the ban was there, because it's just one less headache to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly, it is. Yeah, second sub for me. I wasn't too bothered about it. I was like, at least I'm not going to get punished by him again.
Famous last words. That is. That man only feasts when he's on the bench.
Exactly. So there's no way. There's absolutely no. I'm set up so well for this week. There's no minuses for me, and I've got 7 doublers.
Yeah, I think many of us are going to have difficult decisions.
And then I've got the two West Brom away. I've got two United assets away at West Brom as well, with Antonio up front. I mean, literally got I'm going to play Salah away to Leicester. I know people have talked about benching Salah for Souček.
No, you can't bench Salah.
Chance, not for me. It's obscene. People will do it. People are doing it. People are talking about it. Maybe not so much because he got his goal, but if he didn't get his goal, you'd see even more of them. It's just not for me. The ceiling's so high for Salah. He could go and get 2 or 3 goals against anyone, even when they were playing dreadful against Villa, and they were dreadful. Villa were all over them.
Still bagged twice,
managed to get 2 goals. So, double points.
Agreed.
So.
Cool. Let's turn our attention to the last 2 games that we've shortlisted here. We were just talking about Man United assets, so let's cover the 3-3 draw, the last minute DCL leveller. Craig, what did you make of that game?
It's nice to see my asset doing it, getting the equaliser, but not from a bench. But As I said, I wasn't the only one.
I was amazed
done that,
actually
I'm
how
sure,
many
why not?
people benched him. I was looking through our mini league thinking, oh, this is going to hurt, but there's quite a few bench DCL. I mean,
It's that two stronger squads at the moment, isn't it? I mean, like for me, from my own perspective, it's building a squad that could play in the double game week 26 without having to bring my wild card in. And I know I've probably got a question about this later, but I'm trying to do it to try and keep my chips at my disposal. What with how this season's played out at the moment, and I feel like it's going to be my best form of attack, having the free hit and having wild card going into say 29 and onwards. Not many people will. Certainly won't have the free hit. I know a lot of those are gone. So trying to do that, I mean, particularly with the fact that I've lost my triple captainship as well to a Salah 4-point nonsense. So yeah, anyway, bench is absolutely rife with talent at the moment, and it is what it is. So yeah, it was good to see DCL get the goal. I thought Everton looked like they were pretty much done after the first half an hour. I thought, well, there's not really any way back in this for them. So fair play to them, showing a bit of grit there, a bit of bite.
nice take from Hammers as well, wasn't it? Nice goal.
Yeah, it was good, really nice goal from him. I thought he played nicely. Digne looking good. What we expect though, right? He's just a class player. Super talent down that left side. Gets the balls in. So pleased with that. From United's perspective, nothing really has changed in my opinion there. Just that they can be susceptible. I think we probably got a little bit of the wall pulled over our eyes because of how bad Saints were the previous week. And then a lot of people, had Saints put a couple of goals past them, there's no way I'm mentioning DCL, is there? So the fact that they got absolutely rolled over by United probably has put a lot of doubt in people's minds, and therefore, both Digne and DCL.
Yeah, maybe.
So from my side, I think sometimes these results, I think we shouldn't get too caught up in results at the moment, because you're seeing teams that they'll lose against Leicester, let's say, and then Leicester will go and lose against Burnley. So it's the league is a bit mental at the moment. Villa are putting a few teams to the sword. They lose away at Burnley. And, Leeds lose at home to Everton, and then they demolish Villa. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, just on that game, I think it's probably worth saying United, I thought they were really good. They should have probably taken the 3 points there.
They should have done. Still loving Cavani as well.
It's just that little doubt in the back of your head which suggests he might get some restricted minutes. I think particularly in a double game week, Martial probably will get his minutes within a double game week. So it's a difficult one. I mean, on his day, wow, as he's showing week in, week out at the moment, he's one of the best forwards in the world still, despite, was he 33, 34 years old? Mm-hmm. Still looking superb. Movement off the ball, brilliant.
I agree with that. There's rotation risk there, 100%, and that's probably why he hasn't got more suitors at the moment. What with Greenwood, Rashford and Martial that can obviously play.
I don't actually know if they can afford to not play him there. He's that good right now.
No, he is very good. They have to play him, and I think he's had these knocks. They're just going to manage him. I think they realise how useful he is to the team, and they're using him for the very important games, but they're just going to manage his minutes. So if you can accept the fact that he might only get 70-odd minutes, and then maybe he might not start the next one, but he might come on for the last 30, then fine. And I think he'd still get more than enough points to justify his, very meagre price tag of under 8 million. If you can accept that, then yeah, he's one to have for sure.
So yeah, let's cover the last game that was in our shortlist there. I know you've been scouting them, Craig, in the last few weeks, and that's Leeds. They had a 2-0 win over Crystal Palace.
Yeah, as you said, I've been watching Leeds quite intently, and to be honest, putting FPL aside, I've actually quite enjoyed watching them. They're just a joy to watch. Fantastic outfit. Marcelo Bielsa's got them playing really lovely football. As we all knew, even coming into the season, that's why they're in the league, because they attack from the front or even defend from the front, run everywhere, just constantly running all over the pitch. A lot of them, it's madness. And there's been some nice observations from them in the last coming weeks. I mean, I think there's the standout trio for me is Dallas, Rafinha in midfield, and then Bamford up front. So I think going into double game week 25, you almost have to own those, I believe, or need to look at perhaps an alternative to Rafinha, maybe Harrison. There's no one else up front. Maybe for Dallas, there's Struck, who I've actually put down as one of my ones to watch, which I'll talk about in a minute.
You're looking at 3 leads then for next week, for game week 25, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, almost certainly. What are you thinking on that, Daz, just before I guess we move on? And this game in particular?
Yeah, I watched the game. Enjoyed it. Leeds, as you say, great. They're a great watch, aren't they? As they have been for most of the season. Owned Bamford. Despite his goal, I saw a rank drop after that game. Obviously, the Dallas ownership probably hurt me there. I was a bit gutted with that one. It was a spunky assist as well, and a little pass to the side, deflected goal.
That's the typical response you get from a bitter non-owner, because it is just what it is. And the fact that he's playing in central, I've had someone else say that spunky assist to me already, and and I'm not the only one that owes him, obviously, but people are obviously getting a bit bent out of shape over it. But that's what Fernandes gets them, and this is a guy, right? This is a defender that's playing in midfield. For me, he's a must own. I've been likening him to John Lundstrom. All right, Lundstrom was 4.0, but this is a guy that started at 4.5. He's playing out of position. He's already got 4 goals and 3 assists. Lundstrom only managed 5 goals and 4 assists across the entire campaign. There's more to be had from Dallas. That shot that he had, that Greece saved, that was going bottom left.
Dare you use his name in the same sentence as the Lord?
Well, mate, honestly, I'm seeing it. Again, I'm talking him up. I'm going to damage my rank prospects because many people might actually then start jumping on him. But honestly, for me, going into the final part of this season, if I didn't own him, I'd be all over him. I'm thinking here, Doherty's, and I'm thinking Lundstrom's. This is a guy that's going forward in a very attacking team. He's around the box all the time. He's banging shots pretty much every single game. And he's making passes to players that can obviously do bits like Rafinha and stuff like that. So
he is decent, to be fair. He's definitely a good asset. Leeds actually, that game, when you watch Leeds, normally you always feel like they're a team that's going to give you a chance, but never ever felt like Palace were going to score in that game. The clean sheet was just there, wasn't it? It was there for him. So, yeah.
And that has been the doubt, Daz. It's an interesting point, because I think that's probably why not many people have gone for the likes of Dallas, because of those doubts. They have not kept loads of clean sheets. They've done very well, but there's been games where they just leak. It's because they attack, and they've been rolled over away at Palace as well, didn't they? 4-1, things like that. So I think there's probably been that sort of subconscious back of the mind Leeds concede. But you're right, when they're on their game and they're attacking and they're defending from the front where they're just chasing the ball down, as you said, it didn't really look like they were ever going to score. So in those easier ones at home, I think Dallas is one of those players that is a must play. And then for 4.9 million, just bench him, can't you, really? If he's playing away at one of the big clubs.
I mean, and whilst we're on Leeds, worth saying as well, Rafinha was by far and away the best player on the pitch. He was he was a star on the day. Some of his dribbling and little flicks and tricks and intent to make things happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that little tackers, the little Megs.
Yeah.
Naughty.
No, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant player, and I think he's going to be on a lot of people's radars. Definitely.
Too cheap, isn't he? Way too cheap.
It was just about a good transfer, but I'd love to have him back in my team.
Yes. There you go. What are you thinking about? I mean, moving a little bit ahead to game week 25. What are you thinking there with that double?
Yeah, he's definitely a player I'm looking at. I mean, I haven't even made my decisions for game week 24 yet, so it's kind of one step at a time right now. I'm kind of waiting for the FA Cup fixtures to play out and reassess the situation. But yeah, I'm probably going to want another Leeds asset. I've only got Bamford at the moment, so Rafinha or Dallas, at least one of those.
What about Saints? Thinking of Saints? I mean, to be honest,
yeah,
those, isn't it? They're the only other ones. They got Chelsea at home and Leeds away.
I mean, I've still got Shay Adams in there, so I don't know if it's worth moving him on or not before a double game week. I mean, if I had no Saints assets, the only one I'd probably be looking at would be Danny Ings. But as an owner of Adams, I don't know. I could take him through to the double.
I feel like we're in free for all at the moment. Personally, I wouldn't touch any of our players. But that's a fan's opinion. Should we cover off the last few games? I can see you've got a few things you want to very quickly touch on, Craigo, on the other games, which were wins for Villa. There was a 9-man victory for Newcastle against Saints, as we referenced earlier. Win for Chelsea, and there were draws across the other games between Burnley and Brighton, Fulham and West Ham, and Wolves and Leicester. So who stood out to you in those remaining games?
Yeah, I thought Watkins and Grealish again had very good games. We all know about them. We all know what they can do. Again, players that I would be very much considering with impending doubles coming up. And I think Villa have got quite a few games outstanding. They've obviously definitely got a double in game week 26. They might even have a double in game week 25, but it's very unlikely. But there's a chance. And then, of course, 27 and 28, there's again a chance that they could have doubles in those games as well. So, I definitely have Watkins, Grealish on my radar. And one other thing that stood out for me was watching the Burnley game. Vidra had a really good game. Again, not an asset I'd be thrusting in immediately, but obviously with a double going on, if someone wanted to be a bit fruity and bring in a bit of a differential, I mean, they absolutely piled on the shots against Brighton. I think it was about 20 shots. Yeah, they were all over them in the.
Do you remember them goals Vidra scored against Saints? Was it last season? 2 absolute rockets.
I can't remember. I thought I sort of vaguely remember for Burnley.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think we lost ourselves there.
Can't remember. Probably erase them from the memory.
I think lockdowns probably killed some of our brain cells, Daz. I don't even remember it, and I don't even know if it was for Burnley, was it?
We'll have to look it up.
Man's played for too many clubs.
Yeah, and then just finally, boys, Fulham. I thought, again, Lookman and Decordova-Reid looked pretty decent again. Fulham had sort of turned a corner. I know they're not picking up the wins, and they're getting quite a few draws. I think it's about 7 or so draws now out of the last 10 or so games. I mean, but they look good. They're just not obviously doing anything in the final third. But you're going to have to look to those types of players like a Lookman or a Decordova-Reid. So again, got a double, haven't they? Could be a couple.
I mean, Darren, you got absolutely rinsed by Craig last week in the 4-a-side for picking Areola.
Yeah, it came up trumps for me there. Yeah,
of course it did, and it's the typical banter curse, isn't it? You go and give someone stick for something, which on paper there's no way he should be keeping a clean sheet with the way that Antonio's been playing. I even bloody captained Antonio, and then of course Areola goes and keeps the clean sheet. There we go.
Do you know what? They're a good team for them. They just need to start getting wins because otherwise they're going to be buried, aren't they? But they need to start scoring goals.
Someone to put it in the net, don't they? If they had a Bamford, and they had someone that had contributed so far this season 10 or so goals. It's a big difference, and that's what we sort of thought Mitrovic would bring to the team. To be honest, everyone thought that. Everyone thought that at the start of the season, right?
Yeah. I had him in my team start of the year, and he got off to an okay start, but for some reason he found his way on a substitute bench, and it's just not happened for him, has it, this year?
It's not. I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, some sort of chemistry thing going on, perhaps.
Quite like Mitro. I think he's a handful.
Cue the 10 points in double game week 24 then.
There we go. Was there any final thoughts on some of those other games, Darren, from your perspective?
No, not really, mate. I didn't watch any of those games actually. I know James Justin. They got a lot of plaudits. I think by all accounts he's looking a brilliant player. But didn't watch the games. West Ham had Soufal hit the bar. I saw the highlights there, so that was a bit unfortunate. But I was happy with the clean sheet. West Ham was definitely a team to keep an eye on. Yeah, they're no doubles to come, and the fixtures are drying up a little bit, so there might be a little bit of movement there with the West Ham assets for me.
Interesting, yeah, that's cool. Well, let's move on to that part then, guys, shall we? Let's look at game week 24. Normally in this section we ask the boys who they've got on their radar for the week ahead and the future weeks ahead. So, Darren, do you actually want to kick us off? What are you thinking about game week 24 and beyond, and what's your plans?
To be honest with you, before I make any decisions, I really want to get these FA Cup games out of the way. I want to see how that pans out. So just to get a clearer picture in my head, I mean, in terms of my chip strategy, I've already played the free hit, so I need to navigate that blank 29 without a free hit chip. So I'm probably going to build towards the doubles just using my free transfers, no wild card, and then wild card maybe game week 30. So I'm very much reliant on the main man, Ben Crellin. I think we've got his spreadsheet up here, so shout out to Ben. Fantastic work, yeah.
The Lord Almighty.
He should be arranging the fixtures for the Premier League, I think. He would do a better job than...
He would, yeah. The main man I'm missing from my squad for this week is probably DCL. I'm not a DCL owner, and struggling to find a way to get to him. I mean, I've got Son on my bench, but I don't want to sell him really, because potentially, as we spoke about earlier, Spurs have got the best double game week from out of everyone in game week 26 there, with Burnley and maybe Southampton home.
Really.
Exactly.
You can use that on Son in 26. It's two games where you can't really sell him, can you?
Sonny's going nowhere for me.
It was a given for me because I didn't have any City midfield cover, so he was always going. But yeah, if you've already got Gundogan and Son, then I would be keeping him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, my only route to DCL would be from Shea Adams. Obviously, I can't go directly to him because of the funds, but I could downgrade Robbo to Dallas maybe. Bench Dallas this week, and he's there for the double in 25. And then I've got obviously DCL for the double game week this week. But then on top of that, where does he
take
come
Adams
into my
out
team?
then, as well?
Yeah, but
where does he fit in?
It's just another benching headache as well. I mean, obviously DCL walks into the squad, but then who am I leaving out? It's a difficult one. Sometimes,
tough at the moment.
Sometimes I always think if you're not sure, do nothing. So I'm potentially going to take a chance on DCL and not own them and roll the transfer, I think.
And what about you, Craig? What's the plans for the next game week?
I've already made my move. I've took out Son for Gundogan, which probably a little bit premature, to be honest, because obviously they had the FA Cup game tonight, but I just wanted to get it done. I was always going to get it done. I've got a bench, so I kind of didn't care. It was a bit of a blasé transfer, to be honest. I've got Watkins first sub, so I was like, to bring Gundogan in, he's injured then. Well, Watkins will just play, won't he? So it's one of those at the moment. Obviously, I expect Antonio to be back. He's in the squad at the moment, up top with DCL. I know he's flagged, but potentially that's just fatigue, and I expect that he'd probably play against Sheffield United. And again, as I said, I've got Souček second sub, so I've got a really strong bench. Dallas third, so there's plenty of players to come in there. So I made my move early, basically. So Gundo in, probably Gundo captain.
Yeah, I think I'm going to captain Gundogan.
Wow. A couple of weeks ago, remember you guys saying you wouldn't dream of it? And
yeah, there he is.
Now there you are.
Talked about the price, though, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago? That was the main thing, when it was the subconscious bias on price. So you don't look at him as a £6 million midfielder anymore. That guy is 9.5. 10.
You're not looking at DCL, Craigo. Not looking at DCL for you.
Yeah, it was DCL all over for me, and then I sort of took a step back, thinking less with the heart and a bit more with the head. And I'm like, why would I not captain a Man City asset? Yeah, they're playing slightly tougher fixtures, but I think anyone for City at the moment is game. And then you've got DCL there. Yes, he's at home to Fulham, but they've looked good. And then they're away at City. Not sure. It is only between those two, Daz. If I go anywhere, it's Gundo or DCL. No one else. But I mean, to be honest, I've got to play the safe game. I think it's Gundo for me.
I think a lot of people are going to be put off by those fixtures, actually, Tottenham and Everton. But actually, you look at it and you think, all that tells me is you've got a near on certain starter there with Gundogan because of the difficult games and the way City are playing at the moment. That doesn't
beat anyone.
They're going to score goals. Yeah,
and I know, Joe, you've got Sterling, so it's a given for him. I mean, if I own Sterling, it'd be captaincy on Sterling all day. I mean,
he started tonight. I don't know if he got hauled off.
He did.
Or not.
He got hauled off just before Gundo, actually, around the 55-minute mark,
which is encouraging for Sterling owners. So yeah, I mean that's an encouraging sign. But for me, as I said earlier on, I'm looking at Pope. I think that there's an opportunity there for something a bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fruity one. I know that I actually jumped on it quite early, and then I saw a lot of the FPL community start talking about Pope, which
sometimes you've got to back your gut, though, mate.
Do I not do that? Because sometimes these moves don't pay off once everyone starts hyping it.
You've got to sometimes go with your instincts. Sorry, Daz, what were you saying?
That's right, mate. Yeah, I was just going to say the worry with Sterling there is the rotation, I think, a little more than Gundogan.
Exactly. That's why I'm thinking Pope, because he's just nailed on to start. You'd like to think he'll get at least one clean sheet.
Yeah, I agree.
You look at Palace, they look gutless at the moment going forward, especially without Sahar.
I think Sterling you've just got so many other options there which he can bring in if he wants to, the likes of Torres and Foden, Mahrez. Whereas Gundogan, I think they do need him in that side right now from the centre of midfield.
But he got a goal again tonight. I think at the moment he's probably in Pep's good books, and with Spurs and Everton not being easy fixtures, I think Sterling gets at least 150 to 160 minutes. I think you're probably right. Taken off. I think you might be overthinking that one. So it's one to consider.
The question is what position does he play, right? We've seen him in recent game weeks where he's out wide, particularly on the right-hand side when he's been put out there, and he's not been at the races, really.
No.
And then there's other games where you think in the lineups he's starting as a centre forward, but in reality it's more like Foden who's been starting in that real advanced position. And Sterling's out on the left, and he seems to get a bit more into it.
Yeah, agreed.
But for me, I don't know. As an owner, I'm always nervous with Sterling that he's not going to be in the thick of it.
Yeah, or even in the
Which
team
goes to show how
itself.
crazy things are right now when you've got Man City, the best team in the league, with a double game week, and people are looking at Nick Pope as their captain. And it's, I'm not knocking it. I see the logic, but it's just madness, isn't it?
It's madness. In my book, it's madness. But the thing is, we can't get too much in people's heads. You've got to go with your instinct. And this isn't even me doing the old double bluff here, Joe. I'd hate to do our pod next week and Popey's gone and got a 15-pointer and Sterling's gone and got 6. And we're like, well, you should have done it.
The problem is that a lot of people will be on Pope. A lot of people will be on Pope for the doubles anyway. So is there much to gain by captaining?
Well, there is if he goes and gets 10 points or more.
Exactly. That's, what we'll
and
find
we
out.
see blanks with the others. I mean, this is the beauty of FPL. Play your own game. We're all here chatting away, giving people ideas, but you just go, more often than not, my best decisions have been when I've kind of given it a little bit of thought process before, but just gone with my gut, really. As soon as I start overthinking things like I did last week with the captaincy, I mean, it was a Bruno captaincy all day, really. But because I started thinking about Son, then I'm like, well, I could have actually got those points as well. But to be honest, for me, it was Bruno and no one else. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to think about Sonny and Antonio because of the opponent for Son and of course, Antonio's stats. And, I'm literally teetering and going backwards and forwards. I was leapfrogging between the two of them at like 10:58, 10:59 ticks. Oh, have I got it on? 11 ticks? I didn't even know it was on. So I'm big man Mikel. So again, you can overthink it. You just got to go with your gut and just leave it as that, really. Sometimes just set it up and leave it. So that's what I've done for this week.
By the way, I love seeing Martinez on your bench this week.
Oh God! Yeah. Well, you've welcomed me to that sub community of FPL. Martinez owners or Martinez non-owners, basically, because you effectively don't own him when he's on the bench.
Oh dear! The minute it was getting to like 75, 80 minutes, and I heard that he'd made a couple of worldies, so I wasn't watching it all of the game, not at the end anyway. And I was like, oh my word, here we go! He's going to pick up all of the bones as well, isn't he? And he obviously.
I was thinking, fucking hell, he's done it again. Looked at your side, and there he was, Nick Pope, 2 points.
Yeah, there we go.
Should we move on to community questions, guys? I've lined up 3 questions that we've had from the community on our Facebook channel, First 45 Pod. You'll see a question go out every week, so fire us your questions if you get the chance. First question is from FPL Red Arrow, who has asked, what's your strategy for double game week 26 and blank game week 29? Darren, do you want to give us some thoughts on that first?
Yeah, sure. I think I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'm personally navigating it without the free hit, so I'm going to use my free transfers to get to a decent double game week side in 26, probably use my triple captain that week, or in one of the double game weeks surrounding it. Hopefully fill my bench with 3 blank players. At the moment, we've only got Fulham and Leeds, is that right? Fulham, Leeds, West Ham and Arsenal. So at the moment I've got Bamford and Areola, who I can use in 29. Hopefully a couple more on my bench in 26, ready for 29, if you know what I mean. But
yes.
Yeah, at the moment it's a difficult one because of the fixture rescheduling, but I'm certainly going to try and save my wild card for after all this mess and sort my team out.
Realistically, with that game week 29, I guess you're going to lower your expectations because the likelihood is actually only going to be about 4 games, apparently. And a lot of the big boys aren't playing. Of course, they won't be featuring because of the cup ties. So I guess you'll be looking to maybe get 6 or 7 players out. Daz, what do you think? I guess you can dead end it, can't you? Because obviously you're going to wildcard the next week, so you could even take a few hits.
Yeah, it's just a case of playing it by ear, I think. But definitely, it's all subject to change. I'm keeping an open mind, but I'm hoping to save that wild card for after game week 29. What about yourself, mate? What's your? I think you've still got your free hit, right?
Yeah, I still got my free hit, and I'm thinking, would there be a possibility that I'd have enough for 29 and then not have to play it then? But I'm thinking to myself, well, actually, I might as well use it in 29. There's no other real place to use it. I'm just not, I'm not truly blown away by the potential fixtures when we consider that it could be, Brighton against Newcastle potentially. You got Arsenal, West Ham, Fulham, Leeds. Yeah, but I'm going to have a few Leeds players anyway, right? And then how many other players do I want really from some of these games? I'm not too sure about it. Everton and West Brom again, but again, I might have an Everton asset or 2 potentially. outside of that, I'm like, well, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game week, so I'm not too fussed about it. I'm not too worried. And I think people that have not got the free hit, managed to navigate the last blank with no free hit. And yeah, of course, I probably took a bit of a dive in terms of not amassing the amount of points that others did. But if I recall, I think I only lost out maybe between 10 and 20 points on others.
Yeah.
I managed to string together maybe 8 players, I think, in the end. It was a bit of a disaster for most of that game week anyway. I remember there was a few players that were benched that shouldn't have been and things like that. But, you know, if you could put together 6 or 7 players in that game week 29, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I think generally the best advice I could probably give is don't make early transfers, really. I think knowledge in terms of the fixture rescheduling is going to be critical. And also
Agreed.
too, don't waste your transfers. I've seen a lot of people talking about jumping around City assets, going from, you know, maybe Diaz to Cancelo, and okay, that could pay off, but to me that's a transfer wasted in terms of you're going to want your transfers for these coming weeks. Definitely.
Agreed. It's one of those ones where you do it if you've got a wild card or a free hit, right? You move it around, you take a gamble, but otherwise don't bother doing that. Keep your City out. I'd say the same. Cancelo looks like the one to own, but we're both in the Stones and Diaz camp, and I agree with you fully. I'm not going to be moving from sideways on that, even if I do think that Cancelo's got a higher upside.
Cool. This second question is from Stranger on FPL, and FPL flagged are similar questions. Bruno or a City player captain in game week 24? What would you go for, Craig?
I think it's Gundo for me. I'm not really even considering Bruno. I know people are, and there's absolutely right to, because he's had a lot of double-digit hauls so far this season and done particularly well away from home, largely against smaller. There's Max.
There's Max. We were a bit late.
Who won the sweepstake?
I think that's probably Joe, isn't it?
Probably.
He said
I was
about
still quite
20
a way
odd
off,
minutes,
but
and you said that would probably be a bit over the top. But yeah, there he is, Maxi boy. I think from my side, it'll be Gundogan. Bruno, again, even though he's got that big upside and had some great away results, I fancy the double game week, to be honest. Gives you another bite of the cherry, doesn't it, if it all goes a bit wrong in the first one?
yeah, indeed. What about you, Daz?
Tend to agree. I'm going to target City. I think best team in the league, probably the best player in the league right now in Gundogan. Bruno, that fixture is a standout fixture, I will say. I mean, if anyone is looking at that, I wouldn't necessarily talk them out of it. But for me personally, I'm targeting the double game week.
Brilliant. And then the last question is from I'm Davey, who has asked us, should you use the wild card early to take advantage of these double game weeks? Daz, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, again, it's probably circumstantial depending on what chips you've got left. If you've got that free hit for 29, then I do like the play of the wild card in 25 and maybe bench boost 26. I think that's quite an aggressive play, similar to what I did in around the game week 16. A wild card in 16 and bench boost in 19. So I do like that play, but again, it very much depends on what chips you've got remaining.
Yeah. Craig?
I think that's good points from Daz there. It's hard at the moment, obviously, with the lack of information. We're gonna get more information in the next game week or so as we see what happens in the cup games and some of these doubles getting finalised. So I'd say, while we wait for some information, maybe hold back on the wild card, see what you've got for now. If you've got 4 to 5 doubles for next week and you can string together a couple for the week after, and then you've got circa 8 to 10 for the double game week 26, you're going to do okay. You're going to do all right. I know if you're trying to attack a mini league, you might want to do a bit better than that. But to be honest, that's probably enough. And then there's going to be some more doubles afterwards. But that said, I mean, that's coming from someone here that's probably a little bit biased because I feel like I'm relatively set up for those doubles. However, we've seen that Kane's back, KDB's likely to be back. I can't just move those straight back in. So there's a lot of merit in trying to pounce on double game week 26 if you've got some good chips in play, particularly if you've got bench boost. I mean, if you've got bench boost still, which actually I do have, I should really be considering that wild card in 25 to just absolutely max it out in 26 and go with the full-fledged 15 double game weekers and have like the likes of KDB, Son, Kane. I mean, again, that could be humongous gains. It could be like 30, 40 points. So it's all circumstantial. I think you've just got to be open to ideas, and I'll be making a decision on that come game week 25. So perhaps on the next pod we might know a bit more.
Just on the bench boost as well, I think if you're sat there now in a single game week like the one coming up, I know there's 1 or 2 doubles in there in the next couple of weeks, but if you've got a strong bench like many of us have, I wouldn't necessarily talk you out of the bench boost, even outside of a big double game week. I think we've seen a lot of points on people's benches recently, and if that squad's there for the taking, then use it. I think use the chips when you can, and then you can focus on your first 11 for the rest of the season.
Right, let's move on then, guys, to the final segment, which is four-a-side charity competition. The loser out of Darren and Craig is going to be handing over £100 to Mind Charity. They're going to be taking on each week different members of the FPL Twitter community. And if that community side accumulatively over the season can beat Craig and Daz, they're going to get an extra £50 each out of their pockets and hand that to Mind as well. So fantastic cause they're playing for here. Let's have a quick look over the scores, shall we, before we dive into this week's edition. So I think, Craig, you're leading with 83 points. Darren very closely behind on 76. Community's actually lagging behind a little bit at the moment on 59 points. So let's hope our guest in a few moments is going to be able to pull back some points for the community. I know there's been a bit of controversy with this as well, with these boys picking their teams, because the rules have not been too clear, and I think between Craig and Daz, they're not able to agree on how they're picking their side. So
a few crosswords today, Craigie boy, weren't there?
Yeah, a few heated Twitter messages. WhatsApp messages. And,
a few voice notes backwards and forwards, all in the love of the game. They want it, Daz, but there was certainly a few expletives thrown around.
Getting a bit competitive, mate, isn't it? 4 game weeks in. Started early.
All over DCL, we'll probably end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
So this week, from the FPL community, we've got Utkarsh Dalmia, or Soph, as you might know him, from FPL Wire, whose Twitter handle is @Sofar666. He's going to be taking on the guys this week. So here's his team. We'll run the VT.
Hey everyone, this is Utkarsh Dalmia, aka Zofa from the FPL Wire. Nice to be talking to you guys. This week I am pleased to be taking on Craig and Darren for Game Week 24 in the charity four-a-side competition by representing the community. Interesting fact no one knows about me, I represented India in the World Cyber Games in 2001. I was a bit of a gamer back then. Was part of the Counter-Strike clan, the Unholy Alliance, and we were one of the first teams to represent India in the World Cyber Games. Now, as for my picks, for goalkeeper, I've gone with Nick Pope. Burnley have a double game week against Palace and Fulham, and I think he's a good shout for clean sheets and bonus in both fixtures. I'll be doubling up in the Burnley defence with Matthew Loughton. At 4.5, I think he offers a nailed-on entry into the Burnley defence. He's been getting a lot of crosses and had a few shots in the last game as well, so he could get some attacking returns. For midfield, I've gone for Gundogan. He's been playing in a much more advanced role of late in the David Silva role, so I can fancy him to be the outstanding captain choice this week. For forward, I'll be going with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who also has a double game week against Fulham and Man City. The Fulham fixture is obviously the appealing one, and he could get something against Man City as well. You never know. So I think this totals up to about 24.7 million, well within the budget. I'm pretty confident of the win as long as neither of these guys copy my picks. Thank you.
Cool, that's a good team set up for this week for sure. What do you reckon, Daz?
Yeah, definitely. Some pretty clear standout players there for the double game week. Yeah. Double Burnley defence, Gundogan and DCL. I like it.
Yeah, it's template temple, isn't it? If we were going to go for it and we had our options, I think we'd probably go for the same, wouldn't we, if we're honest? But...
Yeah, well, this is for the benefit of the listeners. This is kind of what the big hoo-ha today was all about, because we don't want to just pick the same team as each other and the community team, but especially in a double game week, it's been proving quite difficult. So
yeah, we want to give the listeners a little bit more to go on, but also we want to keep this competitive, right? So we're trying to establish exactly how we're going to take this forward.
Yeah,
and ensure that we've got different players. And I think going forward, we're probably going to do a bit of a draft, aren't we? A little snake draft. So
I think that's the fairest way.
First pick and vice versa. So yeah, there you go. For our listeners, we're going to try and keep it fresh and have different picks. So on that note, who have you got, Daz?
So I've gone for Nick Pope, also in goal, 5.5. Nice double game week for Burnley, as we spoke about earlier. Great clean sheet potential. Pleased with Popey and the sticks there. Defender Cancelo, as we all know, again, attacking potential and clean sheet potential, fantastic. City looking great. Double game week, Cancelo is in. Gundogan, say no more about the man, brilliant. Got him in my side, 6 million. And Antonio, my only single game week player, home to Sheffield United, 6.7. Hopefully he turns it on, goes into beast mode.
Which he can do. I have to say, I'm very jealous about you owning Gundogan, and of course, Kosh wearing the same feather there. So, my team. I've covered the City double game week with Ederson in goal. Hopefully, he finally gets that penalty that Pep keeps talking about. That would be, what a week to get that. Never going to happen, is it? But we can only dream. Defender, I've also covered the Burnley double game week with Ben Mee. I would have liked to have gone for Tarkowski, but I didn't have the additional money. I was 0.2 short. Then I've gone for Philly Foden in the midfield. Wanted Gundogan. Would have loved Gundogan, but Foden with the big double point haul against Liverpool. Can he get both games? Not sure. He's going to
get at least one, isn't he?
Well, he's definitely going to get one, isn't he? And he could turn it on. But we've seen, haven't we, that he can obviously, where he plays so inconsistently, he can play and then just do literally nothing. But he's always looking good in games. So yeah, I'm feeling okay about it.
I think they need to start using him more, actually, to be honest with you. He's just so good. Anyway, sorry, mate. On to your forward.
No, it's a great point. I mean, he should be starting both games because they're tough, aren't they? Well, who knows? Hopefully we'll be talking about it next week and actually referencing the fact that he has actually got the 2 games because, as you said, he definitely deserves it. He's literally one of the brightest sparks in that team going forward, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And then for forward, I've gone for DCL as well, matching up Zof there, and I'm expecting things from him. I was actually tempted to captain him, as I said earlier, so fingers crossed there. My team totals 24.9 million. Did you say how much yours totaled, mate? Am I just having a
24.2 I came in at.
Okay.
I like your team there, mate, but I think I got you this week. I think I'm finally going to top you. I've got you in my sights now.
You got a good team. You got a good team. He thinks he's reeling me in. Look, 7 points behind. I reckon I'll do all right out of that, hopefully.
I'm closing
whether or not Foden can turn up, eh? I'm expecting things from Gundogan and Cancelo, to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Well, you got some points in the bag, Craig, as a safety net at the moment, so you can put your wallet away for now. Right, I think we're done here, aren't we? So we can stand down, go back to the beers, go back to the FA Cup action, and look forward to what is going to be a very excellent game of 24.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to this one.
Yep, and me.
Green Arrows next week, hopefully, lads.
Let's do it. Looking forward to it.
Good luck, boys.
Good luck. See you guys.
All the best.